At this time, I'd like to introduce the candidates. City Councilor at Large, David D'Angelo. Current Secretary of State of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, William Galvin. And closest to me, we have Danny Factor.
We need to lead here in the Commonwealth in terms of things like electronic voting. We can lead the way in the country and maybe even the world in terms of electronic voting. With our students today, the possibilities for our future is endless.
Very proud of the fact that during my tenure, the number of registered voters in Massachusetts has now risen to a record number of over 4 million. And I'm very proud also of protecting the rights of people to vote. I have fought hard against any efforts to require ID to vote or any other efforts that would suppress minority voters in Massachusetts.
Our elections should be free and fair. They should be open to everyone who wants to run. Every belief, every color, every nationality, everyone should be able to run for office and represent people.
We have 6.6 million people in this state, and 1 out of every 6 is going to decide who the winner is. So we need to get participation rates up there. My plan for electronic voting and modernizing the whole procedure is going to get more people involved. It's going to get our youth involved, particularly under 40. The age of voter participation under 40 is really not where it should be. It needs to be much, much higher. So my electronic voting is going to get it higher to be able to do that.
I call it a statewide voters guide. And that guide would have statements from all the candidates that qualified from the ballot of equal length. So you would be educated before you go into voting booths about the positions of each candidate, not just the ones that have the amount of money to buy your vote.
We've had over 4 million voters on the rolls. In the last 2 presidential elections, we've had over 3 million people vote in this state. We have a population of about 6.6 million. When you take out young people who are ineligible to vote, those who are non-citizens and those who are unable to vote, we actually have a very high percentage of turnout. So it is important to vote, but we can always do better.
I am not in favor of opening up the voting age to 16 and 17-year-olds, though. So I think that's maybe something for the future we could plan. So while the pre-registration is good, the actual voting, no, we'd have to change the Constitution. That would be too difficult.
To actually change the voting age would require a change in both federal and state law, which in the case of Massachusetts would require a constitutional amendment, which would have to be voted on by the people.
I think that there are also other populations as well that are our neighbors that live here and deserve to vote as well. Right now, people who are immigrants, whether they're documented or undocumented, people make distinctions between them. I don't think that distinction should be made. I think that every single person deserves dignity, respect, and love. And when I mean everyone, regardless of race, regardless of gender, regardless of age, regardless of nationality.
We want to make sure that they protect those who are investors or customers. And that's something I've been extremely active upon. The Secretary of State has the responsibility to regulate anybody who's in the risk business when it comes to financial advice, financial products. So if you buy a mutual fund, if you buy an annuity, if there's a credit card issue, the Secretary of State's office is often involved in that. We've tried to make sure that all of those institutions recognize what we call their fiduciary duty. What do I mean by that? They have to put the customer first. They do not have the right to cheat the customer. And in that capacity, we've got back $150 million.
State's website right now, you cannot find an organizational chart for the Securities and Exchange Division. You can't find out who the head of Rice is. None of the employees are listed. There's no annual reports. So really what we're left to do is believe his word. So if you look at that, you look at the front page of the Boston Globe, which he's been on it twice in a month, 2 negative articles. The first one, Galvin often backs secrecy over public disclosure. Or the second one, in Galvin's contracts, little public process. This is the person who used a no-bid contract situation, and he used the same vendor that he did for his state work on his campaign work. That will not happen under me. Most of the people here, and certainly all of the students, weren't even born when this person took office. He's been in the State House for 42 years. It is time for a change. All of my policies have been vetted by good government groups. They're all about openness and transparency. They're all about using technology to make things easier for you, the public, to get these records. They're your public records. They're my public records. You deserve to see them. So whether it comes to financial issues, whether it comes to elections, or any other issue, this secretary has gotten the grade of F from the National Freedom of Information Coalition. The grade of F from the National Freedom of Information Coalition when it comes to freedom of information. That's not a good record. And as your chief information officer, I'm going to do a much better job. I'm going to turn that F into the A.
I at the Green Rainbow Party, believe that fraud actually has many faces. There is the fraud that unsavory people bring onto people, and we do have a responsibility to protect people from that. But there's also the fraud that the government brings on people as well in regard to financial matters. One of the things that I'm very concerned about, and the Green Rainbow Party is very concerned about, is that I don't believe that elected officials should be taking contributions from the very companies that they are charged with regulating. That is obviously a conflict of interest. So I think that the larger problem, is the problem of the money in politics. The ultimate solution is one that already the people decided 10 years ago. It was called the Clean Elections Law. It took place back, as I said, over 10 years ago. It was passed by the people to take the money out of politics. And what happened was that our legislature overturned it. They basically went against the will of the people. I would have liked to see Secretary Galvin speaking out more about that happening, because basically the people had the right to have clean elections. It was taken away from them. And as secretary, I would be a spokesperson for making the system fairer and making sure that the elected officials that we have are actually regulating companies
First and
without
foremost,
having...
thank you to the candidates and Mr. Secretary for coming today. Thank you to our students, as always. Those questions were great. To our ace moderators, Mr. Hurley and Mr. Tivnan. And just for the folks in the audience, this came together between Thursday afternoon and Friday lunchtime, so I'm really proud of the work our students did over 24, 48 hours to pull this off. Thank you again to their excellent teachers, Ms. Brown, Mr. Hurley, and Mr. Tivnan. Thank you again for the candidates, and I hope